If you are ending most days feeling a deep hollowness inside and maybe a little bit or a whole bunch of resentment because you're constantly serving, constantly giving, constantly saying yes to whatever comes your way, there's a really good chance that your energy is being drained faster than it is being filled up, which is a bit of a duh, right? But the problem is that for a lot of Christian women, we tend to feel like we just need to push through. That's how we show that we love people. We need to ask God for more energy and I guess just trust him if he doesn't give it. And so we keep on and pushing through and giving and giving and giving when there are simple ways to figure out what exactly is draining you. And it's your responsibility. Like if you want to love well, if you want to give well, it's your responsibility to take seriously the things that are draining you and are costing you because it's not what you think it is. The things that we tend to focus on, like we might feel like, well, I'm just exhausted because I have little kids or because I have teenagers and they're involved in a whole bunch of sports and activities. You might be feeling like you're drained because you're taking care of your elderly parents. Okay. And so when we see those things, we tend to feel like, well, that's what's taking energy from me. And there's nothing that I can do about that because of course I have to show up for them. But those big things, those wonderful things that you're doing, that you're doing a good job and you're serving others and you're loving well, those aren't the problem. What is the problem? It's what is actually going on behind the scenes when you're doing those good things. So for instance, I have, actually, before I say that, I'm going to, this whole video is pretty much, I'm just taking a page from my book, and you can get that book, Guilt-Free Boundaries for Christian Women, in the description below this video. So you can go deeper on this and keep running with this because there's lots more than just what I'm going to be talking about in this video. But so in my life, I have a YouTube channel, obviously. And it's a time commitment and it takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot of focus, but it also gives me a lot. And so I could look at my life and say, well, if I'm exhausted, I should probably just let go of doing YouTube videos for a bit. But that would be the backwards thing to do because the YouTube videos aren't the problem. What is the problem? Okay, so when I went through this and actually identify in my own life, and this is something that I regularly have to do, where it's like, hey, where are the leaks, right? Because we want to learn how to trace the drain, not the drama. So not those loud things that seem like they're the obvious things. We want to figure out where's the drain? Like what are the actual problems? And so for me, a drain is one little text that someone could send. And I'm like, okay, so they said this little thing. And all of a sudden I'm overwhelmed. And I'm like, am I just supposed to say, oh, that sounds nice? Or am I supposed to ask questions? Am I supposed to show more interest? Am I supposed to help them process something? I don't know. And so then I avoid replying. And then I'm thinking about it for the next 3 hours before I reply. I finally reply and I take 10 minutes to send a reply rather than 30 seconds. And then after the fact, for the next 3 days, I'm thinking about, well, did I say the wrong thing? They didn't reply back, or they sent a weird reply back. Maybe it was hurtful. Maybe I did it wrong. So one little text that can come in at any time throughout the day will take hours and hours and hours of time. That is a drain. My YouTube videos are not a problem whatsoever. So if you can learn to deal with where are the drains in your life. And the thing is, with a text from someone that I care about, I'm not like, this isn't the answer. So often is not removing things or removing people from your life. It's learning to carry those things differently. But the first thing that you got to do is actually recognize where in the world what they are, where they are, and when they're happening. Because if you can see that, you most likely, you already have what it takes to know how to carry it differently. And it's just that it needs to be brought to your attention. Okay, so step one, we're going to just simply list your yeses, and you can look at your last week. You've got lots of data there, and that's all that we need is just what in your last week have you been saying yes to. And again, before we dive in, remember to grab the book Guilt-Free Boundaries for Christian Women, which you can find in the description below this video. So the chapter that we are going to be going through is to trace the drain, not the drama. So step one, what you're going to do is grab a blank piece of paper and list your yeses. What are the things that you, just looking at your last week, because there's lots of data there, what are the things that you say yes to? So do you have church commitments, family commitments, homeschooling, doing different things for cooking things for your kids for school? Are you emailing people? Are you texting people? And are those texts coming in at random times? Are you emotionally carrying other people? Are you grocery shopping or managing a home? Are you on social media? Like, what are the things that are in your week that you're saying yes to? We're not looking at, like, don't paint a picture of kind of those main things that you're doing. I want you to think through and like just really keep on writing until there's nothing left, right? So if it's like, okay, well, yeah, that's part of my week and that's part of my week and this is another part of my week, then keep on writing until you can see on paper all these different pieces that are part of your week. Okay, don't leave as much as you're able to, don't leave anything out. Okay, and then next to each one of those things, I want you to list how much time they take. This is a really big indicator here because if you write down how much time something takes, but you don't actually know how much time something takes, that is going to that's a sneaky little way for you just to see for yourself how much you're kind of letting these things that should not be filling up your entire week, they kind of have access to, like, they're just spread thin. And so they're just sort of always there or always open. It's like a tab always open in your brain where it's constantly an option to think about or to do something about. Okay, and then next, what you're going to do is give it a time score. So 1 being it, like on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being that it took a few minutes and 5 being it swallowed a whole morning or evening. So once you've given it a time score, next, give it an energy score. So again, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being that you could do it while you're tired, and 5 being that it drained your reserves and made the next task or next several tasks harder to do because you lost your energy. Okay, then once you've given it the time score and the energy score, now we want to give it an emotional score. So this is this is a really big indicator of, again, what is actually going on beneath the surface, because score of 1, on a scale of 1 to 5, score of 1 would be that you were totally calm and it didn't affect you at all. And 5 would be that it made you feel dread, it made you feel icky, and you probably had the urge to run away from it and avoid it altogether. And then once you have those 3 scores, what you're going to do is just tally them up to see which combined score of all your yeses throughout the week, which ones have the highest combined score. Okay, because we're not looking for the loudest ones. We're not looking for the ones that take a ton of time but low energy. And this, when you're looking at this, and I hope you take the time. I know it can be a little bit tedious, but if you take the time, you want to follow each one through and not just think about this in your head, because you're not going to be able to see what you can see on paper. You're not going to see it when it's just in your head. And you need to see it on paper because there's a lot that gets revealed that you're not even aware of. But when you can start to see it on paper, you're not just thinking through it, you have a chance to actually recognize what is showing or what is taking a lot of energy from you. Because again, it's probably not the things that you think are taking your energy. Okay, then once you've done that, this is the part that I love, because I think I used to feel like, well, if something's not working, I just have to get rid of it, right? So like if you have little kids, that doesn't really work because they might be taking a lot of energy, or there might be some interaction with them that's taking a lot of energy, but you're probably not going to remove it completely from your life, right? Especially if we're talking about our interactions with people. But what you can do is we're going to either remove it, or we're going to reduce it, or we are going to rework it. So for example, back to the whole text thing. Now, when I could recognize, okay, this text comes in and then I'm thinking about it way before and I'm thinking about it way after, I made the decision that I'm going to just reply kind of whatever comes to mind. I'm going to give myself about 2 minutes if it's the right time to reply, right? Because I might have boundaries around replying. But if it's when I go to reply, I'm making the decision of I'm not going to overthink this before, and I'm not going to keep thinking about it after. I'm going to send a reply. If that person felt like I did something wrong in that reply, I'm not going to stress about it. They can bring it to my attention and we can have a conversation then. But it's that I'm letting go of constantly thinking about it, right? And constantly stressing about it. So it was something that I needed to rework, where I'm going to reply, I'm still going to stay engaged with this person, but I'm not going to say yes anymore to the constant stress behind the scenes. So what you want to do is just pick your top 3 with those scores that you made, pick the top 3 combined scores and either reduce, rework, or remove it from your life. And what you're going to do with each one of those is just write out a sentence for yourself. So like you might say, I can keep this in my life, but only if, or I'm not carrying this anymore because ... fill in the blank. Or I can keep the nursery rotation at church, but only if it's once a month, not every other week. Or another one that I had to learn was that I'm not going to say yes to anything 24 hours until after 24 hours after it comes up. So when something comes up in the morning, if it is a request for later that morning, it's most likely going to get a no because there's not enough time. Like I need that time to think about what I'm going to say yes to. And so just learning to put those little buffers in there, or learning to not overthink text, to not jump to when someone has a problem where you might have to rework that and say, okay, if they ask specifically for my help and they tell me what specifically they want me to do, I can do it, but I'm no longer going to jump in and I'm not going to try to solve all their problems anymore. And if you can learn to recognize those things, because it's those little things that we do, the ways that we mentally carry burdens that drain us faster than the huge things that we do. Okay, it's not those big commitments that are the problem. It's the little things that take away our energy, that are constantly, it's those 30-second things, the 5-minute things. It might be the 5-hour things, but it so often it's the small nagging things beneath the surface. And again, like you might have a 5-hour thing that you're doing that you really want to do, but you just have to, there's some nagging emotional drain that is taking your reserves that you need to deal with, and you need to work through that. And then you're free to do that 5-hour thing. So again, it's not the obvious things usually aren't the drains on our energy. It's the not obvious things. So use this equation to figure out what is actually draining you and what you're going to do about it. And if you want to go deeper with tracing the drain, not the drama, then grab Guilt-Free Boundaries for Christian Women in the description below this video to go over what we went over in this video more in depth, as well as many more tools to help you not just recognize what's going on, but also what to do about it in the long run. How to create the life that you're wanting to live and work through all that emotional stuff. Because for a lot of Christian women, we struggle so much with feeling like every request is ours to carry, that if something comes up and we can do something about it, then that automatically means that we should do something about it. And that's where we have to learn how to just pause and think a little bit and ask ourselves, is this something that I want to take on? Is this something that is even helpful to take on? Because sometimes we jump into things before we even realize what we're doing, and not everything needs to be acted on. Even when someone brings up a problem, they just want you to hear them and not fix them, which is funny because that's sometimes like what a lot of women complain that guys do, that they always want to fix it. But we also have to learn that when something comes up, we can ask a clarifying question. We can say no. We can say, give me a week to think about that, and then text me in a week and I'll see how I'm feeling about it. And it's a huge thing that we've got to just realize that God is not asking you to say yes to everything that comes your way. You can actually use wisdom, and you can gauge the situation. You can judge the situation. Is this the right time for you to take something on? Or is it time for you to step back a little bit? Is it time for you to rework something? And learning to do that, there's a lot of healthy development that happens inside of us when we start to redesign life a little bit. So, yeah, I hope this was helpful. Remember to grab that book in the description below. And lastly, remember to read your Bible, get lost in the story of God, and play your part because you were made for so much more.